Morning, everyone. One day, as I awakened and I cut on my TV set just prior to going to work, I saw a preview for an upcoming movie. That movie had John Travolta, who hadn't really been seen too much except prior to then, except for this stupid baby talking picture. Samuel L. Jackson, who I wasn't at all familiar with prior to this trailer. Bruce Willis, who at this time already had at least one of his Die Hard films out. Uma Thurman, Ving Rhames, and a whole host of others that comprised the film Pulp Fiction. Now, I don't know exactly what drove me to actually even want to check this film out. I'm guessing a buddy of mine probably wanted to see it, and I went with him just on a lark. And as it turned out, it ended up being one of my favorite films of all time. Definitely in my top 20, possibly in my top 15, and I wouldn't rule top 10 out. And although all the actors were great in their respective roles, I think the one person that just made the movie for me, because he actually did make the movie, was Quentin Tarintino. Tarantino is, beyond a shadow of a doubt, my favorite director. After seeing, I believe, every film of his except two, being his first one, Reservoir Dogs, and his last one, Inglourious Basterds, I've pretty much checked out everything else that's, between those two films. I'm not counting, True Romance and Natural Born Killers, because he either wrote or co-wrote them, but he didn't direct them. Quentin, to me, is just an unstoppable force, and the passion he has for the craft that he does, I think, is practically, I won't go as far as to say it's unequaled, but I don't see anyone who has a vision that's kind of like his. Pulp Fiction was my introduction to Quentin. Now, if I don't have the movies out of order, I think what I saw next was Jackie Brown. Now, comparatively speaking, I felt Jackie Brown was his least exhilarating film, but it was still a quality film. And Quentin's knack for bringing folks who kind of faded into obscurity, much like John Travolta had, he did the same for Pam Grier, as he did for John Travolta. Unfortunately, with Pam, it didn't blossom into a career revival for her as it did for John Travolta, but still, it got her some limelight that she hadn't received in easily 15 years, perhaps 20, if not more. And Quentin just seems to have a knack for bringing people who folks have not thought about for a long time, and putting them back into prominence in films that are quirky, exciting, intelligent, and still leaves you wanting more. Now, after Jackie Brown, I believe I saw Kill Bill. And Kill Bill is probably my second favorite Quentin film after Pulp Fiction. Believe it or not, Volume 2. Volume 1 had all the action. It was over the top. It was almost like a live manga or a live anime. And the visceral thrill that one would get from a movie like the first volume of Kill Bill was just, you just can't touch it really. But for as exhilarating as it was, Volume 2, which was a lot more somber, a lot less action-packed, I just thought was a more dense film. And that's dense in a good way. Just what Quentin does with dialogue is, in most people's movies, when they're dialogue heavy, if the story's not about nothing, it's just boring. But I really think that Quentin Tarintino could do a movie that's practically nothing but dialogue and still hold your attention, because he's just good at it. Also with Pulp Fiction, jumping back to that for a second, I love the fact that everything doesn't take place in chronological order, because Pulp Fiction was almost like watching 4 or 5 films at once, just checking it out from just checking it out from different people's perspectives. Now let's see. After the Kill Bill deal, I believe he teamed up with his friend Robert Rodriguez for the what do you call them? Not Trailer House. What was the names of them? Well, I'll put it in an annotation or something. But Grindhouse, that's what it was. Grindhouse. When he did the Grindhouse double feature with Robert Rodriguez, his Death Proof was just like another feather in his cap. As that the man does not lose a beat when he does his movies. It's like I haven't seen a film yet of his where it looked like he just phoned it in. With Death Proof, you have Kurt Russell, I think. I always get Kurt Russell and Jeff Bridges mixed up for some reason, but he brings Kurt Russell in, another actor who hadn't been on the graph for a while, and puts him in a role where the thing that was great about it was Kurt Russell's character the way he talked was such a badass, but then the first time he came across something where he couldn't handle it, he basically turned to a girly man, and Quentin just played it up for all it's worth with him having all these ladies Tracy Tom from Cold Case, and I can't think of their names now. Zoe Bell, who was prior to Death Proof, was known pretty much primarily as a stunt person, as a stunt woman, and a few other ladies whose names I'm drawing a blank on now. But these 4 ladies, well, maybe not the cheerleader lady, but 3 out of those 4 ladies were seriously kick-ass, and they seriously kicked his ass. And I imagine anybody that's fortunate enough to have a significant other in their lives, and took a date to see this movie at the theater, I'm pretty sure the lady that's with her guy was probably enjoying what these self-empowered ladies were doing, right from the get-go, showing, of course, that it's not just a guy's world. Let's see, after that, I believe you had Inglourious Basterds. Now, Inglourious Basterds, that was a movie I didn't go to the show to see. And then when the DVD came out and was available, I went to my store and they had it. I had a choice to make. I could go with my head and pick up Inglourious Basterds simply based on the track record that Quentin Tarintino has had, which was pretty much almost as perfect as you can get. Or I could go with my heart and pick up Inception, which I heard so much about, and long story short, obviously, since earlier in the video I said I didn't get that movie, or I didn't see that movie, you know that I ended up getting Inception. And upon finishing that movie, I was kind of like, I should have went with my head and not my heart, because Quentin hadn't let me down. Inception was, as far as I was concerned, an unproved entity, an unproved cinematic entity, regardless of the praise that people were giving it. Don't misunderstand me. I thought that Inception was a good movie. I didn't feel like I wasted my money on it or anything like that. But all things being told, I would have rather had chosen Quentin's movie instead. Because while I thought Inception was good, I didn't think it was everything that everybody else made it out to be. People really just came short of saying it cured male pattern baldness, that it reversed Alzheimer's, that it cured erectile dysfunction. Now, no one actually said those things, but people were hyping it to that degree. So I was like, well, okay, I'll get Quentin's movie at a later date. Still haven't, but I'll get Quentin's movie at a later date. And as it turned out, I should have gotten it when I saw it to begin with, because now the store that I go to, they don't have it anymore. I believe they still have copies of Inception left. Go figure, huh? But anyway, going back to other films that Quentin was involved in, Natural Born Killers with Woody Harrelson. That was just mind-blowing itself. I remember the special effect in that movie that had me tripping out. There was a scene, and I forget what leads up to it, but there's a scene where someone is taking a shot at somebody, and this bullet has to go through this glass to make the connection with whoever the victim is. But the thing was, the gun is fired. In a slow motion scene, you see the bullet flying towards the window, and you see the bullet, not only going straight, but also rotating. and then it goes through the window, still in slow motion, hits the guy's head. Then it kind of stops, and then the camera motion stops, and they kind of freeze on the guy, almost looking cross-eyed up at the bullet, I believe, and then they show him it blow through his head. It was a cinematic thing that just blows me away, even just thinking about it. Now, as far as True Romance goes, I think Christian Slater will never be in a movie that's better for him than that movie. And the cast of characters there, you know, from Gary Oldman to Patricia Arquette and a fairly unknown Samuel L. Jackson, who, if you blinked, you'd miss him. It was just, you know, my fondness for that movie was just unparalleled. So, as a writer and as a director, Quentin Tarintino is just top notch in my book, and he's a passable actor. He did do one movie that he starred in that I thought was absolutely abysmal, but creatively I don't think he had anything to do with it. Something with dangerous in the title. I forget it. I forget what it is now. It wasn't a memorable movie, but you know, to close out, just a great writer, an excellent director, and I doubt whether there'll be anybody that I'll find in the future who will pass him in terms of his skill set and in terms of how I like their work. Oh, this is my part of a tag team that I'm going to be doing with Edward 2962, and my understanding is his vid will probably be up maybe next week, if not earlier. When he does, I'm sure he would, much like myself, I'd like to hear what you think of Quentin Tarantino, and or, you know, who your favorite director and or writer is in cinema. So anyway, without any further ado, I'm going to call it a wrap here, and thank you for listening. Night out.